Welcome to Brain Break. I'm Lloyd James, and this is where we uncover real stories of people who are changing the game. No surface level stories, just raw, honest conversations about the challenges they have faced and what truly shaped them to be what they are today. Let's get into today's episode. Tiana.
Lloyd. So nice to see you.
Oh, you beat me to it. So lovely to see you. It's been a while.
It's been a while. I saw you maybe at the start of the year. We filmed this really cool video over the bridge. For that guy?
Yes.
Yes, that's epic.
And then I was like, can you run to the bridge? And then I get the drone and then follow the thing. And we had to get the phones out because you couldn't hear me and you dropped your phone.
Yes.
It sort of survived.
Yes. Well, that was great. That's ultimate sweet.
So good. And yeah, I mean, I know that you've always been that type of person. I could call up and say, we need this kind of model. We need this. We need that. Be like, yes, Lloyd. Okay, I'll come along and whatever. So it's always such a good working relationship working with you because you're so professional at what you do. But before we kickstart things off, Tiana, I know to a certain extent who you are.
Yes.
Can you just give us an introduction on who you are?
Okay.
And what is it that you do?
Okay, so my name's Tiana Hoad. I'm 22 years of age. I live in Perth, Western Australia, and I have 3 businesses currently. My main goal, my main business right now, I'm known for is All With The Flow, which is a Perth activewear brand here. And we like to make activewear just a little bit different, try and stand out from the norm, bring a bit more unique and iconic designs so you feel a bit more confident and you can flow through every movement and you can feel more supported and more confident from moving in the gym, Pilates, however you like to move. And then when you go to work, you can style our pieces up and feel confident and more supported throughout all of your dreams and all of your ambitions. So that's pretty much why I'm here today. But talking more about myself, I'm an only child. I have no siblings. I live with my dad. And I just lived 2 months in Bali. Let's put it there.
Well, I've seen all the things about Bali, right? And then you were there doing like the gym sessions and everything else. And we'll go into that in a bit. But I just wanted to know, and obviously thank you for your introduction. But if you've listened to any of the podcasts, I want to get to know you beyond what socials is feeding me.
100%.
Okay. So you're successful in running 3 businesses, which takes up a lot of your time. Can you take us back?
Okay.
When, maybe back at school.
Okay.
Do you remember any time at school where you took lead on particular projects?
Yes, I would say I really took lead because I started in a private school. And I struggled in this private school, not academically, but I think socially with my friend group. I didn't feel quite included towards the end of my time in this private school. And there was a bit of bullying going on there and the school just wasn't that supportive and didn't want to help my situation. And there's many times I'd go home from school absolutely just crying, never wanting to go back. And when I moved to a public school, it was completely different. Like the workload was small. The people's discipline and motivation to do work was next to none. Like I felt like coming from such an academic private school where the workload's a lot, homework's a lot, and going to a public school, I felt like I needed to carry the load for everyone because I thought it was going to fall back on me. So I would normally do other people's works for them or take lead in a group situation. That's when I started to kind of realize that I like to take leadership, but I also found leadership because where I was working at the time was actually like sort of like a modeling studio, and I was helping cast models in to start their career. And I was probably only around 15 and I'd be running the socials. I loved talking to new people and getting people to start their career and finding their confidence. That was the whole point of what that business was about when I worked for them at the time. So I really liked that leadership role and I got really into marketing at such a young age and my social media was booming. I really liked doing my socials and stuff like that and working in different industries doing their social media marketing as well. So I think that's really where that leadership sort of vibe started, but also both my parents are business owners. So they're both leaders in their own. So I guess that's also kind of been my upbringing and inspired me to be the person I am now. So that's definitely helped me a little bit to have that outlook and that mindset and that framing of my life.
Take us back where you mentioned about bullying.
Okay, let's talk about it.
What do you remember how old you were?
So I think it started in year 9. I don't know how young that makes me. But I had a pretty big friend group, boys and girls. I would probably say, not to say I had a big ego or anything, but we were the popular group. And I felt never like I had a best friend in that group. I felt like everyone had their person and I was the single out person. That's just my perspective. Obviously, they could have a different perspective, but I felt like everyone had their best friend and I was hanging out in this group. I never felt like I'd found my person. I would say I was friends with everyone in my cohort. I was friends with all different groups of people. I was very welcoming, very kind to everyone. But in my specific friend group, I didn't feel like I 100% fit in. I felt like I was always chasing to fit in to the standard. And everyone would gossip behind everyone's backs, even though we'd call each other friends. And that was my idea of what a friendship was. I had friends in primary school, but in high school, that's what it felt like. It felt like there was a hierarchy and you wanted to be on top.
It feels like a bit of a drama situation
Yes.
thing. A lot of drama.
Yes.
And that's interesting you say, because you're saying what I've just picked up here is you said that's what you knew what friendship was.
Yes.
In regards to that friendship talking about potentially each other behind each other's backs.
Yes.
That kind of thing. How did that make you feel when you weren't with them?
I felt left out. Didn't feel maybe like I was enough or that I was valued in the friendship. And then the bullying kind of started. I can't remember the actual pivoting point because it feels like a while ago, to be honest. And I think I've blocked a lot of that out of my brain. But I just remember some of the boys maybe had something for the girls, and because the girls didn't like me at a certain stage, and the boys would kind of gang up on me, and it was just a lot of gossiping. I just didn't feel welcome, and there was like food being thrown in my lockers and pins being thrown at me in class. I wanted to start a YouTube video, and I had people projecting the YouTube video in our form class, which is our first class of the day. And I was so happy about this video and projected it on the main screen in front of my whole classroom and embarrassed me. And that completely destroyed me from wanting to continue that, because I was like, God, okay. Didn't feel supported at all. And then I started hanging out with the older year group, but I just didn't really find my tribe, didn't really find my person. It was really hard going to school, really hard being in the classes. So that was that bullying. The next school was a different story. There was bullying in that school as well.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm was really absorbing everything you're saying here, because there's a few things I'm picking up. Is obviously that friendship is not something that you had perhaps a real deep connection with a certain person within that group, right?
Yeah.
And then if you sort of zoom out from that, if you think of in now, for example, now your friendship groups, and I mean, I can see that you're extremely well connected with. You seem to hang out with so many different people. It's like almost a totally different Tiana back at school to what we're seeing now on socials, right?
Oh, 100%. I used to think that my friends were my world. I didn't know any different. That's all that my world revolved around. I didn't have any other purpose in my life but school and friends. And you don't know the reality that friends come and go. You think those are going to be your friends forever. But the reality is now I don't speak to a single person from that school, nor my next school, nor really primary school. Probably speak to a few people from primary school, but still, like, I'm not close with anyone from school. And I've always struggled to find friends or someone that connects with me, or someone that truly knows me and I can trust and be my authentic self with. And now I'm really lucky because the people that I've found now have been through me and my growth journey and me becoming that authentic personality that I am now. I've just attracted those people, and I'm so lucky to have the friends I do now. Like, oh, I can't even imagine world without them. To be honest, like, they are such kind, deep people and so understanding, non-judgmental, and just don't care about the shit. Like,
Mm.
could I swear?
Yeah, you can
Oh,
bring whatever emotions you want to bring.
amazing.
Yeah.
But like, it's just true, authentic. They don't care about what anyone thinks. They're being their authentic self, and they're just so supportive. And that's what every friend should be.
You see, a lot of people watching or listening this, they might be going through this very
100%.
stage right now, and you know, you're what, 21,
22.
22,
Yeah, that's good.
and so there'll most probably be listeners here that they're in upper school or secondary school, I call it, and they might be going through those situations there. And one thing that I've learned from school is that there's only three people, well, actually three people that I still stay in contact from school. The rest of them, it's like, where have they disappeared? It's almost that sort of,
Yes.
the minute you leave school, it's kind of, you realize that they've got their own interests, work takes them places, families, all those kind of thing. And then you realize that all of that worry before was all for nothing. But like you just said, you don't know any different, right?
No.
Do you remember how? Obviously, that was a time that upsetted you, right? And
Yes.
you were like, that you felt alone, you felt not welcomed. Food being thrown at your locker, which is, it's just awful to think about the process and the mental side of things that you've had to go through. What kept you going? As in, like, get you over those situations? Was there someone behind? Was it your dad, your mum, family member? Was there anyone you can find to that helped you, support you go through that journey that wasn't very nice?
Well, the only other people I really had in my corner were my parents and myself. Like, it's down to me at the end of the day.
Did you share a
But
lot with them?
yeah, I shared mostly everything with them, and they thought it was the best idea that maybe the school wasn't doing their job in what they promised and what I wanted, and they didn't believe a lot of the things that I was saying. I went to counselling with the school, and that lady was lovely. I love her to death. But I ended up leaving and going to a public school. And you know what? I had really good friends there. I didn't really get along with a lot of people in my own year. I don't think I clicked with anyone. Not that anyone was bad or um, was bullying me or any of the sorts. I just didn't feel like I found someone that I could really connect with. And then I started hanging out with the older years.
Do you think you were too mature for your age group?
Oh, yes, I like to say that I've been quite mature for a while because I'm an only child. So I've never had the bickering of other people or not sharing or that's mine kind of thing. But also my dad got quite sick at a young age, so I had to grow up quite fast. I at 14, my dad got really sick. He had a heart attack, and his main aorta, like his main valve in his heart, was like 95% blocked. So there was a good chance he wasn't going to make it. And he had bypass surgery, like open heart surgery. And there was a lot of recovery from that mentally as well. And then he had a pacemaker, and then he had a stent. It was a constant thing over a few years. And that caused a lot of mental problems that he had to overcome because it was really taking a toll on his life. And I felt like I took a step back from school and took care of him and did a lot of things. But also from that, I learned how to cook. I had to start supplying things for myself, making my own money, buying my own things. I had to grow up really fast.
I find that, your dad, for what he's gone through and you having to step up
Yeah.
quite quickly,
Yeah.
right? And I guess that, but you say you've had to do those tasks and those things to support him, not only physically but mentally as well. Can I ask where was your mum in that picture?
So my mum was around. So my parents have always been split up my entire life. So I've never had parents that have been together. They split up when I was 2 or 3. So I don't know any different from a split situation in a family. My mum, I would see her throughout the week. We had a split roster. But not long after that, my mum ended up moving to Brisbane because she met a lovely guy over there.
How old were you?
I was 16 when she left.
Do you feel that, like, at that age, think back to 16 and, dealing with teenagers through my, the job of teaching that I've done for years, it's such a vulnerable time. And your mum's kind of, but it sounds like she's gone up for a new man to Brisbane. Did you feel abandoned? To certain
I
extent?
hate to say that because I know that she was just doing what felt best for her. And this is her first life as well. She didn't know any different.
Mm.
And of course, if she finds love that she wants to chase that, I get that. And she thought I was in safe hands with my dad. But I did feel like I was in a very vulnerable position. I would have loved my mum to stay around a few more years and then go and follow that dream love. And she's married now and she's very happy. And that relationship's successful. So I'm glad that she did pursue that. But if I could have it my way and if we were to do things over again, I would have loved for her to consider me a little bit more and stay. Because I think that was a really tough time, especially with dad still being quite sick 2 years later after 14.
It's a big responsibility, though.
But also, like, it gave me stability because my whole life I'd been moving from dad's house to mum's house. And I was getting to an age where I'm just gonna have to pick a parent soon and live in one place. I cannot imagine doing that now. Oh my God. So I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Like I can change the framework around it and think of it as a negative thing, but I can also look, I wouldn't be the person I am now and I wouldn't be having my own room, my own office, my own space, built a house with my dad and it's perfectly to suit for both of our living. Like it has its perks, it doesn't, like it was a very vulnerable time. And I would have loved for my mum to be around. Of course, I don't think anyone wants their mum to leave and go live on the other side of the country. So,
I appreciate you sharing that because the reason why I ask is that age is, I think it's an age where people are trying to figure out their life, right? You're coming towards the end of your school or, close to, and you're kind of thinking, okay, what am I going to do? And obviously your core pillars, if you've got a good relationship with your parents, they're there to support you and celebrate your wins and pick up the pieces when you're in pieces and those kind of things, right? And it's just kind of think, okay, well, that must have been, challenging for you, that the fact that you become almost, full-time carer for your dad in that sense.
yeah.
And, one of your pillars is chasing a new love somewhere else, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just kind of interesting to see how you dealt with it,
Yeah.
at that time. So you kind of like, you left school early, did you say? Did you come out with any qualifications?
Yes. So I ended up leaving after year 11. So I ended up working for my dad's business. So that was an engine reconditioning business. I was the marketing lady. So I was doing that part-time and then I was also studying marketing in TAFE for Cert 4. And then in school, I studied my Cert 4 in business. So that was something that I can't remember what they used to call it, but it was one of the pathways that you could choose in year 11. So that's what I did in year 11. And then my dad kind of decided, look, I know you don't want to do ATAR. I know that you're probably not thinking about going to uni. And I know that you can get into uni if you wanted to with the bridging. So look, you can leave and learn something and go to TAFE and step out into the real world. And that's 100% what I wanted to do. I was like, I want to get a head start. Like, honestly, I don't think high school did anything for me. Like, looking back on it now, I'm like, I don't do anything for maths. My English is still not the best.
Well,
And
yeah, I mean, sorry to cut you off. I find that really interesting because, do you know why? Like, obviously, you're very much in the Gen Z generation, right? I know Gen Z cohort, if we call it that. Now, I'm very much a millennial, and I been tuned to turn up to work, call it for 9 a.m., finish work at 5 p.m., so to speak, right? So that kind of very much that mentality of 9 to 5, you do your job, you get paid, you go home, right? You're in a totally different bracket to, I believe, my mindset of what I've been tuned and sort of like trained to do.
yeah,
Now, being in that cohort of Gen Z, one thing I've noticed is that Gen Zs are very, very good at building their own personal brand, as in talk to camera, when the whole TikTok really took
we're
off,
adapting.
you're not you, but people would dance and they were not so afraid of taking a selfie. Whereas, if you actually think millennials and beyond, it's kind of, oh, don't take a selfie, it's cringy. Well, that's for the young ones, that's for this. But then if you actually look at what the Gen Z have created in regards to building their own personal brand, which then turned into UGC, which then turns into potentially them being a business and making a return on that, do you think the generation you're living in at the moment has helped you become the entrepreneur that you are today?
Oh, definitely. 100%. The tools of social media, obviously the standard of the non-judgmental society, kind of like let that girl do what she wants to do because like no one actually matters, no one actually cares because it's about you at the end of the day. Like the education on the mental health, like yeah, 100%. Everything that's being spoken about as of currently is supporting to go after your dreams and do the impossible, the scary thing, jump out of the comfort zone, seek change. Like 100%. I don't think that would be as normalized, especially for a female when women didn't used to have businesses ages ago. Um,
No,
you know,
yeah, I think
it
it's
wasn't
incredible.
normalized.
No, I think it's incredible, and I think that from what I see is that you are such in a great position because you do that generation. I'm not paintbrushing every single person in that Gen Z cohort that they are comfortable in front of a camera. I know plenty that are not, but I do believe that like you are almost accustomed and brought up and raised in that culture, right? Of like the selfie.
Well,
That's almost natural. You just did it even before we
it's
came onto here. You're like, oh, let me take a video, and to you,
yeah,
it's almost natural. To me, it's like
it's the norm.
for me, I have to double think about it. I think, well, should I do that? She's a bit cringe, it's a bit whatever, and I still
Yeah.
have those doubts in my mind. But I know for a business to be able to share what's happening behind the scenes and to be able to share and to build a community, you have to share what's beyond just a final product, right?
Literally, like now more than ever, putting your face in front of your brand or the behind the scenes, people are connecting to that so much more. It's like back in the day, you used to go into the businesses, meet the business owner or the employees, you get the vibe, the energy, and you want to support that brand. Same thing, you're just finding people on social media platform, you're connecting with their face, what they're saying, their story, the behind the scenes, and it makes you want to support them, makes you want to follow their journey. Like I had people message me all the time. How did you start? What would you do differently? Like, what's made you like where you are now? And I'm like, put your face in front of the brand. And I even get myself sometimes in a little pickle where I'm like, oh god, like I don't really want to do this today. I don't really feel the best. I don't really want to talk on a camera. I don't feel that inspiring or whatnot. But that's what connects people. And I've noticed a massive difference, especially in community, like creating events, talking on my TikTok. Like it can be a 3-minute video about anything to do with business. It could be the smallest little thing, and people are going to put that together with all the other things that you're saying and doing. And you've got to build a brand on the personality that you are, and people want to connect that way.
Question for you.
There you go.
So I totally agree. 100% agree. It's, humans connect to humans. No matter what AI program comes here, we could AI all of this. But I do believe there's that energy, there's that realness about it all. So you're saying that you jump on the camera, on your phone, pro camera, whatever that may be, and you start sort of engaging with your audience because you know that's potentially what they want to hear, or you've had questions come to you. Do you specifically talk to a target audience when you create content like that? Or do you kind of think, okay, someone's asked me this question, I'm going to make a reel or a TikTok out of it. How do you process that information? Because as a business, I try and tell businesses that like we need to look at the demographic, we need to look at where people are hanging out to be able to reach those people with the content that we create. How do you analyze all of that in depth, or do you just kind of like do it and hope for the best, or do you know your audience so well you know what they're going to resonate with?
Not 100%. I don't go in depth because I think that's mentally quite draining, and you really don't, it doesn't need to be that complex for a video. I just know for me, like the people that I want wearing over the flow is people that are learning about discipline. They're building something for themselves. They have a project that they're working on, or they want to get out of where they are and try something new, or they're in the gym working hard, trying to get healthier and happier and more mental health based, whatever the case is. So when they hear something inspirational about business or see how something works, it kind of gives them that kind of, oh, I didn't know that, or that's a good way of looking about it, or I never thought of it that way. And those people that are chasing their dreams, no matter what it is, resonate to something like that.
I that's something I'm working on.
Yeah.
Very much so. I would say that I've got a social media presence. I don't think it's very strong. If anything, actually, of late, I've realised that I can build businesses. Like I'm pretty well in tune on how to build a business from zero. However, I'm not in tune with myself,
Yeah.
as in my personal brand, as in Lloyd James.
Yeah.
All I could pretty much say is I just wear black. Because just for less. It's literally for me to think one less thing I need to think about in the morning,
And
right?
camera Ray-Bans.
And the camera, this is literally work because then I can crowd behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff. But they're generally prescription glasses, all right? So I can't live without them, and they're off at the moment. But so I look at what you are doing and other creators, and I think, wow, the confidence that come with talking on camera that resonates. And I resonate with some of the stuff you put on there and other people.
Mm.
It's like, what would you say to, let's say, a business owner, but that doesn't have a personal profile? What would you say to them would be the first sort of steps for them to start getting confident in front of the camera?
Honestly, like when I started, I'd already had a bit of a social media presence, but I found it hard to confidently talk about business because I just started. I didn't feel like I had the knowledge. Even now, like I can't say 100% I know everything because I don't. I'm never going to. But you've just got to realize there's other people that are in the same position as you, and maybe even talking about how scary it is to step out of the comfort zone and do something different. Like, people are going to immediately like relate with you on that because it's so hard to talk in front of a camera. You sound weird. You don't look the way you think you do, and you don't even know if you're going to mess up with your words. It's just like, I mess up with my words and I just let it go now because we're all human, and that's a relatable thing that us and the other person on the camera on the iPhone can relate with. So honestly, I think it's buy a tripod, get your phone, and just start talking. Just start talking. And
do you have a structure for talking?
Not really. I like to think that I need to start off the video with some sort of hook or not go into it like starting on something boring. I kind of need to.
Sorry to go. Do you have a go-to hook? You must have a structure in your mind because you've just said.
I don't have a go-to hook. I think I'm just really creative on what I'm saying. But some hook, for example, like my 3 biggest struggles when I started my business, or storytelling, be like, last week this happened, da 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 da, or can you relate with this because this just happened to me, and I, like instead
you
of
see how naturally that comes to you.
Yes, it is.
Right, and then for me, it takes me that extra half second.
Ask AI.
To absolutely, and that hence why I can't live without it because AI is my Gen Z brain.
Yes.
Quite literally. Because if you blend, right, Tiana, if you blend what you've got, your skill in building a personal brand, and let's just put all the flow and your other businesses to one side for a minute. Tiana is a personal brand. If you're able to build that community and that follow you and that love you and that kind of like want to know what your next steps are, if all the flow was to collapse tomorrow, or your tanning business, right, was to completely go tomorrow, you personally have got a community that you can sort of take on to that next journey and then make them go through the process of building the next business or whatever that may be. And that is the biggest gap that I found.
Yeah.
That, and I say I put millennials into that bracket because that's kind of what I'm seeing the gap here, is we're good at building businesses. We're not good at building ourselves.
Yeah.
Whereas Gen Zs, I believe, are good at building their own personal brand, but then you ask them how to build a business. I feel there's only a few that know how to do that well. And I do believe that is down to several things. Is they've either got a background in business through family members and they've kind of grown up from that kind of background of a business-led aspect of things, or they're just so in tune in knowing what the problem is and they're able to fix it and make a monetary return.
Yeah.
So can you just take us back? You're tanning, that's where it started, your own first business.
Yes, I was 16.
You were 16.
I was just turned 16.
I mean, do you have to have a TAFE course to do tanning? Or what does that look like?
Legally, you don't, but
Okay.
I did a course through my mum because my mum's a spray tanner.
Okay.
And she used to train all the salons in Perth before she moved to Brisbane. So the whole reason I started my business because my mum had a business from home and she wanted to offload her clients to someone. And I'd always wanted to learn. And I was always into my spray tanning because my mum was a spray tan beautician. So she taught me. I got my certificate and I just started.
And what was one of the challenges you faced with the spray tan business?
I would say I just started to get my clientele really slowly. It was hard to try and find people like social media, Google, Facebook, marketplace kind of vibes. I was trying to tap into all these different streams to try and get people's attention, but I think it really just came down to patience. And then COVID hit. So I just started to try and get my business up and running, and I had clientele. And COVID hit, and I was like, oh, this kind of puts a pickle in the works. I can't really book anyone in for a long period of time. And then it didn't really start to like go off until I started posting more consistently on like my clients and getting them to write reviews and like messaging them a week later, hey, how was your tan? Following up with them, getting the feedback. And then it started to get
Sorry, so interesting.
yeah,
The feedback.
the feedback.
You were what, 16, 17?
Yeah.
And you knew that feedback is important at that age.
Yeah, because I would use it to then promote my service.
How good. I mean, that's just value in itself, right?
It is very valuable.
I had to stop you there because I was like, you're 16 years old and you knew straight away that you need to get reviews or testimonials, call it that.
Yeah.
And get the client feedback to be able to tweak and adapt your business to make it more successful.
Yeah.
Do you realize how, I don't want to, it just sounds like you knew what you were doing.
I guess looking back on it, maybe I already had some sort of idea in my brain, but I definitely don't know it all. I didn't know it all. I like honestly, Google was around at that time. We've got all the resources. Like there's so many endless YouTube videos. I was already into social media marketing then, so I realized that feedback was a big thing. I just kind of started with all of that, but I started looking into like search engines and how that look. I started looking into SEO, they call it, and how Google puts you on when someone searches you where your business is placed in the list. And I found out if I have more reviews, I'm going to be higher when people search up spray tanning in my area. I still don't have that many reviews, but I'm on top in my area. So people find my business now and they don't really look elsewhere. I update the photos regularly. That's all I've really done. And most of my clients come through word of mouth or Google. I don't really use Instagram that much.
I was going to say, I don't remember the last time I've seen,
I don't like to link my tanning page to my personal page because I do my tanning through my home. And I would hate for someone to find that out in a bad way. Like
no, that makes total sense. And you want to protect your
my space.
Your space, absolutely. And I totally agree. And I think it's just, I find it so fascinating the fact that you found an interest in SEO, analytics, and Google. Like it just blows my mind that you're, because if I reflect back when I was 16, I was definitely not thinking that kind of way, right?
Yeah.
And I do believe it's that whole thing: go to uni, get a good job, and then you'll be set. And I'm just, the more and more I talk to people and realizing that the mindset's completely and utterly shifted in regards to like you're thinking that way, and you won't be the only one thinking that way, but I find that really, really interesting. COVID hits, obviously distancing's put into place. You're struggling to potentially get people to come and get tanning because of restrictions put in place.
Yeah.
And that. All with the flow. I know it wasn't all within the flow initially in your mind.
It was always called All With The Flow.
Was it always?
Yeah.
Was it really?
I always called the brand All With The Flow. So All With The Flow was originally meant to be like a resort wear brand. I was also working at Rottnest at the time in the boutique there. And I fell into like all the nice linen materials and the beautiful silky materials and just everything. And I wanted to start creating a brand on that. And I actually started working with manufacturers when I was 17-ish, creating what I wanted and learning how to sew and all the things that I thought I needed to learn to build a business. And then I was really into like the gym at that time, bettering myself. I really just started my fitness and my wellness journey at that point. And I was not really a very social person. I wouldn't wear that sort of clothes unless I was at work. And I got my samples back and I loved them. And I was like, it doesn't really align with me anymore. After working at Rottnest, I was working at a gym in Fremantle. I was still really heavily into my fitness. And all I was wearing every day was activewear. I was a Riderwear ambassador at that point. And I was like, doesn't make sense. I wear all these different activewear brands. And I was like, it's not one that I truly love, to be honest. There's things that I would pull from each of them, but I want to create my own. And I was like, this makes so much more sense to me. I'd be able to actually embody the brand even more. And I have more passion for that. And I know that I'm not going to lose that passion anytime soon because this is so important to me for the long term. And I want to make people feel confident and feel supported and have an activewear experience that they truly love and they put on and they go, wow, and the quality is there. And it has everything in the right places and their body feels good. Like, it's like different. All the activewear brands, or most of them, I'm not going to say all, they're the same. They typically are the same. And I want to try and make my spin. And I'm still trying to figure that out to this day. It's a process, but yeah, that was a big spill.
That was a very big spill. And I was like, wow, okay. From rockness to loungewear, all that. Well,
but it was always called All With The Flow.
All With The Flow.
I just thought it worked really well with movement and the flow of life because, I want people to wear this throughout their life, not just for, moving, but for every day. I live in my activewear. I do everything in my activewear. I go to festivals in activewear.
I mean, I believe it's a product that it can be worn in multiple scenarios.
Yeah.
And I do. I mean, look, I'm not heavily into the activewear, evidently, but I do very much remember the time when you brought the activewear that was like that one shoulder strap one that came across.
Yeah, I love
and then
that.
but then you just sort of chucked a pair of jeans on, sort of situation, and you could wear that top, out and about, so to speak. So, and Constance, my wife, loved that, and she took that, and what was it called? Is it what am I right in saying? Maya? Is it Maya? See, I do know my sort of.
Wade remembers the names of my products.
I do vaguely, yeah. But Maya, yeah. And I remember Constance going, "Oh, I really like that," and she took inspiration from that. And I think that activewear is, you got the umbrella name of it, but I believe you can really customize it to how you want to feel in it.
That's a wide range.
Such a wide range on how you want to wear that product.
Yeah.
Now, you also touched on the fact there's multiple other businesses, globally, locally, nationally, right, that have got their own activewear, and each one of them are, the way I'm consuming the content is all down to the founder and their story and the problems that they have found, and they're trying to resolve them by creating better activewear, right? So it might be activewear's too expensive, let's make cheap ones. Activewear is doesn't fit me in the right places, let's tailor it so it fits you in the right places. Tell us the process a bit more in regards to what goes into, let's say, creating the top that you're wearing, or the what do you call leggings? What do you call them?
These are called flares.
Flares, yeah.
We'll talk about
the process of it all. Yeah, what does that look like?
So the process of how I go about designing the actual features. Sure, 100%. So obviously let me restart. Thinking about activewear, there's so many different products and they all kind of look the same. And for me, what I've learned from feedback is, and especially my own experience as well, is how can I make that product just that little bit more better to feel a little bit more confident and suit more of a range of people? Because I'm a small business, I want to try and adapt to as many people as I possibly can and make as many people happy. So I'm like, okay, look at this mum jacket, they call it, or a BBL jacket.
So it's BBL?
Yes, it's meant to.
What's that stand for? What's it BBL?
It's a surgery that people get their fat transferred into their glutes, and then it's called a BBL. So they call it the BBL jacket because it's meant to accentuate your waist really small and then make your glutes look big.
Okay, we got producer Riley here. We need to fact check this, right? BBL. Oh, is there a song called BBL, Riley?
There probably is.
Is it? It'd be.
I think there is.
Oh yeah, Jake. Yeah, see what I mean? I will fact check that because,
anyway,
I'm not quite up with. AI will help me with the Gen Z language. Continue.
That's what the jacket's called, and most of the time they're just a plain bit of material. They kind of all look a little bit different, but where I really wanted to stand out was adding a 2-zip kind of feature, so you can air it out a bit more and wear it in different ways.
Oh wow!
But also I wanted the thumb hole, so I think it looks really cute. But the stitching here also gives off more evolution on the waist to cinch it in. So instead of it going this way, it's kind of going in.
Is that so? That line there, for example, going.
Yeah.
Is that more a design thing, or is that a support feature?
It's more of a design feature to give out an illusion on yourself that you look more snatched in your waist.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
But also in the bottom part of this design, there's a slight dip in the bottom of the feature, on the bottom of the hem. It's not straight. There's a slight dip that goes down and just covers that belly a little bit more and enhance the hips.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you went through that whole thinking. So when you get that first sample, you got that idea. How do you then get those fine details sorted? Like, do you have to write it down and obviously communicate that with your
So
manufacturer?
yeah, normally I have a rough idea of what I'm wanting. So I already had this idea in my mind, and I'd be like, hey, like this is what I have. These are the features. Like, just send me a sample of like it made, and they'll specifically ask me what measurements and things like that for where I want this to start or whatnot. But most of the time they get it on point without asking specifics or measurements. Then they send me a sample. I try it on. I wear it for a few days, see how it feels, and then most of the time there's a few things I need to tweak. So the first sample I got, this jacket, the sleeves were massive. There's like still a bit more room there, but that's to cater for people that have different size arms because everyone does. But that was one of the main features that I didn't like the most, and it was also too short. So it's just little things like that. You go back and forth, but you can't be a perfectionist. You can't get everything completely right because you're going to be stuck creating that sample and spending that money for so long. But also, people are waiting for you to drop something. You can't really push back the deadline too much. And it takes time to send back your review for them to make it and send it back to you. And then you have to make the order of how many quantities you want, what colors you want, what size range you want. And then they make that all. And then you have to get it shipped. And that depends if you're getting it sea shipped or air shipped. So there's this whole thing. It takes ages.
You're mentioning that that whole process of you creating that top, it just sounds so hectic. And for someone that's thinking about creating any type of, let's go with garment for boy or girl, right? Or any person that wants to create a product for someone else, what is one of the first steps you would recommend someone doing?
In creating something.
Creating a product to sell, like a top, a t-shirt, what would be the first step?
To simplify it, like really simple, just research what things you do love. What do you like from competing brands of this thing? What works well, what doesn't work well? Look at the reviews on the products, see what the feedback is from the customers. If they're complaining about something was too short, too long, didn't have this, whatever it could be. And then what I like to do is get on Pinterest. I like to save ideas. And I have a little folder of things that I like and ideas and things that I want to pull from, colorways, maybe types of necklines, whatever it could be. And next minute I'm brainstorming how I can put all this together and make it work. And then I remember I used to just draw in a book. It didn't look great, but I'd just start drawing a kind of sketchy design and come up with a few different varieties of that design and what I thought was going to be best. And now what I figured out is now I've got a community around me. I ask my community what they think would be best.
Is that through Flow socials or you?
That's through Flow, or it's just through friends and people that I'm close to that know and understand the brand.
Okay, so Flow has got its own community.
Yes.
But you've got your own community.
Yes, 100%.
So
I have my own personal friends and community,
right, so,
and then I have the community that I've bought. Technically, they've bought from me, and they support and love and hear the mission, the values. They love the products. They hear it.
Do you feel you use a different tone between Tiana personal Instagram and All With The Flow Instagram? Or I'm saying Instagram, whatever channel you use. So you got the business, you got Tiana.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use two different tones to communicate with that audience? Because if I'm talking on my socials, I would just talk as Lloyd James.
Mm-hmm.
But then I feel that if I'm going to talk on Brain Breaks or Ludio X, it needs to talk like Ludio X or Brain Break. How do you find, is there a balance? Is there a way to overcome that? How do you process it all? Do you know what I mean?
I think it's specific to your business and your brand, but I think for me, I'm trying to be best friends with all of my customers. I'm just trying to be myself. And if I can connect woman to woman as how normal I am, not that I'm a big business CEO, businesswoman, that I'm just a fun, quirky girl. I'm a little bit weird. I'm just myself, and I want to attract the customers through just being me. So I guess in some instances with like branding, messaging, and ads and things like that, I'm maybe putting on things a little bit like the hey girlies messages and hey queen and slay, using that kind of wording that I would normally probably use all the time, but I use it with my friends. So yes, I am pretty much still being myself because I think that my target market are my friends. I want to
Yeah.
treat them as if we could be friends and I have their best interests at heart, which I do.
So you see, so really you are talking, you will pick up that camera, but subconsciously you will think that you're talking to your friends and passing, check out what I'm doing at the moment.
100%.
Yeah. And so that's how you're able to build that community and build a connection with.
I think maybe there's a sense of where I need a little bit more professionalism. I don't think that far into it. I don't.
But the reason I'm so intrigued about it all is so much information out there.
So much.
So much. It's almost overwhelming. It is overwhelming.
Oh, it overwhelms me.
Whether you're on TikTok, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on Lemonade, whatever platform you're on Threads, I mean, literally, it's just everyone and their opinion, which are extreme. There's value in everything that everyone's saying, but it's like, how do you pick that information? And I think it's a tough thing if you're someone trying to start a business. It's like, wow, okay, well, this person's saying this and this person's saying that, and they're saying, post 3 times a week. They're saying post 3 times a day. It's just trying to make there's almost too much information.
It comes down to patience. I think you've just got to start with one thing, see if it works. It's like kind of need a thesis. You need to try things out, see if it works. If people respond to it, if that didn't work, maybe try another angle. Like, this didn't come to me naturally. Oh no, oh God, no. Like, this took patience within myself, kindness to myself, trying different angles. And naturally over the time, I just fell into this kind of position. And that's just with being consistent, with being patient and giving time. This doesn't just happen like that overnight. You kind of fall into it and then you realize what works. You need to it's trial and error with everything.
Tell us about your work-life balance.
Work-life balance, it's hard. I would say I've never really found a complete good work-life balance because I believe you need to work hard in order to get return. And it's really hard when you have that mindset to balance things with your life. But I would say I'm 100% way better with it than I was when I first started. I'd burn myself out months and months and months and it didn't feel like I was getting much in return. And then when I realized I'd put more time and energy into my own personal life and my own time, like my alone time, doing the things that I enjoy, makes me feel connected to myself, my self-care, my routine. When I prioritize those things, everything just falls into place a lot more and I stop feeling guilty about, I should be doing this right now. When I've kind of reframed the mindset of I need to do these things in order for me to show up in my best self in my business to make it better. Because I'm not going to show up in my best self if I'm not doing these things because I'm just going to be tired, I'm going to be burnt out, I'm going to be overwhelmed, I'm going to be stressed. So all those other things need to be prioritized. So that's how I've reshifted that that mindset, that work. I never used to think that way.
And
even now, it's still a struggle. It really is sometimes.
This is something that
I think everyone deals with.
Well, I think that's something that a lot of people will. They think they've got an idea, and if that idea and that passion is not strong enough, it will collapse within the next 12 months, if not sooner.
100%.
The bit that collapses them, or say collapses, the bit that doesn't. That stops them from continuing with it is just the sheer amount of dedication, but also I guess you kind of quickly realize that it's not a 9-to-5 job, so to speak, and your brain never switches off. You could go on holiday, you could go and do your morning dips and do your walks and do your whatever it might be for you. But I'm pretty sure and I'm pretty confident that at the back of your mind you're thinking, okay, the next thing I need to be doing is this.
Yeah, 100%.
You can't completely switch. I mean, I do not know where that switch off button is. I often get DMs that come through and they come, if I'm in Bali or wherever it might be, doing something that's not work related, they say, make sure you take some R&R and look after yourself, take some time for you. And I'm going, yeah, well, I'm taking time for me. And they say, make sure you switch off. And that's the bit that kind of I think, what does switch off mean?
This is where I think it's really important to set boundaries. But I know what you mean. But I'm pretty lucky with what I've chosen to do with my life and my business. I really love, like, everything's revolved around work for me, and it means I can still rest and recover, but still have something to do with the business. But what I'm saying is, like, at the end of the day, once it gets 6 p.m., shut off. Don't do anything.
Every day.
Like, boundaries.
6 p.m. What would you?
Need to
Sorry.
be, like, I'm just saying that for example, but having a calendar in place where you block out times for certain things, plan your week ahead. I'm going to do this in this period, and then this is completely no work at all. Like, you do need that break 100%. And yeah, it really just comes down to trial and error again. Like, you just need to find out what works for you and what makes you feel good.
Do you have any calendars or task manager apps that you might use to help you stay on track and set those boundaries, or is this just all in your head?
I use Google Calendar, and then I am obsessed with my Notes app.
The Notes app.
Yeah,
Really?
but
You got all well categorized and everything else?
not really. It's quite messy. But I also love writing physically things down. So I have about 3 notepads on my office in my office on my bench. I write down on one of them my to-do list for today, and then what's prioritized in what order I need to do them. And then on my other ones, I'll do all my other kind of brain work that I need to do for those tasks.
But that list, you don't have that digitally to take with you around.
Sometimes if I'm driving or I'm doing something and something sparks into my mind that I know that I need to do and I don't want to forget about it, I'll write it down my notes, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore.
I've created a shortcut through my iPhone where you tap the silent button and it opens up reminders straight away, and then you can type in straight away and it disappears and it goes and it just comes on. I can show you how to do that, because instead of opening up the app, and there's for me, it's all about how can I get to that point the fastest
Yeah, fair.
without
I
having
the
set.
app. I just don't know why.
The reminder. I believe I've got my reminders app down pat. I've got notes, but for me it's reminders, because then I've got like an inbox, so my inbox for ideas, and then I've got a personal inbox and then a work inbox. But everything goes into the overall inbox, and then I can then categorize where it goes and then tick it off as I go along. So I can't live without the reminder. Like you say, I might be driving, I might be doing whatever, and then it's just about capturing that moment while it's there in your head, and and trying to, because I have so many different thoughts that come through, night or day, and you think, okay, well, I've got to write it down somehow. Your proudest moment?
My proudest moment, I would have to say, obviously the journey's been amazing. There's so many proud moments that I've had, from running community events to starting wholesale and being stocked in different locations, to moving all our stock into like a 3PL warehouse where people pack my stock for me. But like, if I really tear it back, those have been part of the journey, which have been awesome. But I think like the proudest moment is just starting, to be honest. Like, that's the scariest part. Like, it's so overwhelming. It's so scary. You don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know if you're going to waste all your money away. And the fact that you've just stayed consistent with it and not given up on that dream, I think that's going to be the proudest thing that I've ever done, is just starting. And it's like with this online coaching thing, I've just started. I didn't procrastinate about it. I just started focusing on one thing at a time, ticking it off the list, and just putting it out there, just launching it. Like, just putting it out there, like, honestly. And that's the scariest thing to do, because judgment, cost, time, investment, it's all scary. That's the scariest thing.
And I was going to say that, like, the your investment in doing new learning, like your online coaching, is there a theory behind it all, why you're doing the online coaching? So if you're doing activewear,
100%.
and you're doing online coaching, there must be some two and two somewhere along there. You're not just doing, I don't know, I kind of feel that like you're trying to bridge gaps and trying to probably online and your product.
100%. So the mission of All the Flow is literally for people to step into their most confident self and wear something that supports them, not only in the gym, but when they're working hard on their dreams and working towards whatever they want to achieve in their life. And I don't just want to be like a personal trainer. I kind of want to be a bit of like a mentor in what I've learned through business and how I've gotten to where I am today. Consistency, discipline, it doesn't just happen. And the whole picture, like the mental health side of things, and how so much can happen in our lives, and it dictates how we perform in work life, relationships, in the gym. And obviously, I've got the learning from the fitness, the nutrition. I've worked in the supplement industry for 4 years. Um, like, I have all of that life experience, but also I've got an experience that's quite unique. Most people haven't started a business. Most people haven't realized the struggles of the up and down and recovering from that. And I kind of want to have my twist on it, where I want to inspire people to not overcomplicate it. Don't procrastinate. Focus on one thing at a time. It doesn't have to be this scary, overwhelming thing, which it does look like that. But if we tear it back, it's quite simple, and people can achieve what they want to do if they have that guidance. And I wish I had that guidance, you know? So I don't just want to help people with their mind and body and physical goals and things like that. Like, I just want to have a bit more of a different edge on it. I want to help the girls that maybe are business owners and they're struggling to find that routine where they prioritize themselves, that work-life balance that I've just been speaking to about. Like, I kind of will be unique to the people that come to me, but I want to try and share my values and what I can with those people and give them the tools and the accountability and have someone that they can lean on when they're struggling and they don't want it to affect their motivation or their discipline or their progress, really.
I feel that in the design activewear world at the moment, females are killing it. Like, I feel that, like, no matter whether it's yourself or another activewear, I think the whole storytelling, the way you involve your community, I think it just whoever comes up on my feed, but I'm watching their journey. I feel like I'm so immersed, and they seem to be doing it extremely well. Now, if we take the likes of Stacks, for instance, right,
Yeah.
and if you take it back where Don was literally the guy that was designing female activewear,
Yeah.
it goes against the grain.
It does.
It can. Hold on a minute. If you think about it, a guy designing activewear for women,
Yeah.
it doesn't. It feels unnatural at the beginning when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm coming from a perspective that would you or others, would you consider going against the grain and designing men's clothes?
I have considered it, and I've thought well and hard about it, and I've had many men tell me to start it.
Including myself.
Yes, and at the point where I am in my business, I've built a community around females and the empowerment around females. And if I was to introduce a new product like men's line, that would be a whole new market I need to try and learn about and invest trying to market to those people. And for me, I'm really just about building the female empowerment kind of vibe right now and that community and strengthening that.
Love that.
So if I was to invest money into something new that I don't have a complete understanding about and it's a whole new market, I think it would be a silly opportunity for me to do right now with my money. I think it would be best to grow what I currently have, because if I was to get into men's, I think I would like to do it differently.
What's stopping you? Do you reckon you're not passionate about it potentially?
I'm not as passionate. Obviously, I'm not a man. I don't think menswear is as cool or as fashion forward or has the versatility, or it all kind of looks the same to me. So it would be a big process of finding a new manufacturer and then the whole marketing thing. It's kind of a whole nother project in itself. And what I have going on right now is working. So I would hate for me to invest money into something and just not work. And I don't have that community of men already around me where I've already got the females. So it's really simple for me to create something new, and I've got a better idea that it's not a risk.
So what I'm picking up from this is really following what you are passionate about.
Oh, 100%. That definitely helps.
Yeah. And so don't go half-hearted into something if you don't really truly believe into it.
It's like a female could go to you, Lloyd, and be like, Lloyd, I want you to design this, this, and this, and this. And you think, oh, yeah, I could solve your problem for you. But it's like, at the end of the day, you don't really have the passion to do that. I want to solve people's problems. Don't get me wrong. I would love to do that. But it just feels like a completely different thing out of what I would feel comfortable doing.
No, absolutely. I think that's valuable information, because it's important that you do follow and chase something that you are passionate about. And a lot of people say, I want to start a business, and where do I start? And I always say two things: what are you passionate about, and what is the problem around your passion?
Yeah.
And if you're able to solve the problem around that passion, then you can potentially make money from that. And I've got the cliche saying of like, the bigger problem you can solve, the bigger the paycheck.
Yeah.
Quite literally. And
Yeah.
that's all I do. That all my brain does is try and, okay, there's a problem. How do we fix it? How do we make it better? How do we make it so people want that product or that service? Right. So I think that that's something that I'm taking away from this, is that like, you're trying to solve a problem exactly, with your designing, and the way you've just, the simple thing that I can see, it comes down a bit further than Norton, rather than just coming a straight line. It's those simple things that, like,
Oh,
it's a small thing, but it's, Stephen Bartlett says it really well. But it's the 1%. It's a small thing, that small detail that will make an absolute difference
yeah.
to the next activewear that might be a straight line, and someone might prefer it for that reason. And it's again, I'm not making these up, but from the podcast I listen, it's sweat the small stuff. Like, you got to look at the small things
100%.
and not think, well, it's just a small thing, but those small 1% add up to 100.
100%. And I think also I'm still learning. Like, we're only almost 3 years in, so it's still a baby business. So I'm still learning what performs well and what doesn't. And I have our hero products, the ones that sell really well. And those are out of the box that you've never seen before. And I find they sell the best. So that's really what I'm trying to lean more into. I've tried taking people's ideas and making it my own. And if I'm going to be very vulnerable with you, they don't sell that well, because I think I've built a customer base around the things that are really unique and really never been done or seen before. And so I've realized going forward, that's what I need to do more of. Yeah, it's hard, because I want to tap into the people where I know that they wear these similar designs, and I want to make it my own and make it better than what the other people are doing. But at the same time, I want to create these completely new things, which seems scary, but people love them because I've never seen them done before.
Yeah.
So it is still a learning process. I'm still trying to figure out what does well, what doesn't. And I think it's going to be constantly like that.
Sounds like you're the type of person that just will never stop learning.
Oh, no, I don't think any business owner will ever stop learning. And if you stop learning, you're not doing it right. You need to constantly be learning, because it's the most important thing to, like, grow your business. Otherwise, you just get out of slacker.
Plateau?
Yeah, plateau. And you feel lost and you don't know what to do. And I've been there.
Yeah. No, I think you've given so much value on this conversation, and your experience and the way your thought process has, where you've digested everything in regards to setting up, the taking over or the clients from the spray tan business.
Yeah.
And, looking into the SEO stuff at the age of 16, and then, building this resort wear, realizing that's not the right thing, and you're embracing certain failures along your journey, but taking that feedback to make it better every time. If you haven't listened to one of our shows yet, but if you have, what's going to probably come up next, is that we like to give a challenge to our viewers and listeners from yourself for someone that might be thinking of starting an activewear brand or any kind of product-based product. And what sort of challenge would you give them if they were thinking about starting an activewear brand? What would you say to them?
Not a great way to start. I would definitely say, if you are looking to start a project or a business, or you had some sort of dream in mind and you were just scared to think of the big picture, because the big picture is so overwhelming. You need to stop procrastinating about the big picture and start focusing on the small steps. So, like, working out, where am I going to find a manufacturer, or where am I going to find this person, or is there someone I can message to get feedback from, or where can I learn, or maybe search up a YouTube video, ask AI, Google, like, all your resources are there. There's so much information out there. We have that as a free resource and we need to use it more. But it's really simplifying it. Write down wherever what you need to figure out, what is confusing to you, what don't you understand, and go and just try and get a better understanding of these things. Don't write a massive list, just simplify it to 5 things. and do some research on it. Ask some people that maybe are in that industry. Most people will respond to you. I will say, like, I get messages all the time, like my DMs are open. So if you want to message me and ask me any questions, go for gold. I will happily be specific. But it's literally just focusing on those small little steps, not the big picture. The big picture's scary, and that's what turns people away. And they're also not willing to be that patient to be there. You just need to worry about enjoying the process, because you're not going to get to that big overwhelming thing, the scary thing in your brain, unless you can slowly dig into the basics and learning where to actually start. And that's how I've done it. I literally just started looking at one thing at a time. And the next thing I was like, oh, wow, last week I didn't know anything about that. And now I'm here, like, wow. And then you get a bit of dopamine because you're like, oh my God, I'm learning, I'm doing this. Like, and that's the drive, the dopamine of like learning something and knowing that you have more knowledge than you did a day ago, a week ago, a month ago. And then you slowly look back on your progress, you're like, wow, look how far I've come. Like, it's, you've got to learn to enjoy the process. You can't think about the end goal. You have to think about the small things. So just writing out the small things that you don't understand right now and just looking into them. That's the first thing, literally.
Wow. There was so much value in that.
Thank you.
There's so much, no, but there's so much. If I was listening to that, like, I would be like, okay, you've given a lot of information. And then I'd want to know, I'd want to probably know a little bit more how to get started. And so you mentioned people can come and slide into your DMs and ask you any questions.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good of yourself to give back, I guess. And we've all got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I feel that, like, having that access to your knowledge and to, I guess, where I lean towards is your failures and understand what you failed on, but how you made it better. That's just information that it's so valuable for anyone trying to start their own business. So
100%.
I just want to say thank you for sharing that one. I've got one last question for you. What is the big vision?
The big vision.
Tiana, or All With The Flow, or the tanning? What is your big vision from now?
Let's just scratch the tanning, because that's something that I don't
Okay.
think I'm going to continue forever. But when it comes to All the Flow, the big vision, and this feels overwhelming to me thinking about it, but I would love, this is the big vision. It sounds so scary, right? You got to dream big. I would love to have my own, like, kind of center where we have a shopping center in there with activewear, men's and women's. We have psychologists, we have physios, we have PTs, we have Pilates, we have a gym. We have all the support you could possibly need to be there. We have business mentors, we have workshops running, we have community events, space. Like, that's the big vision. And I don't think Australia even has something close to it. I know I think there's something really close to it in Gold Coast, but I would like to have my own edge on it. And that's the big vision.
And everything would flow.
Yes, well, that's the plan, right? You want everything to flow.
Excuse the pun here, but about everything would flow, from like going to the gym to going to the psychologist, going to do your shopping,
Yeah,
whatever it might be. Everything would just have a system and flow. I can see it. I can feel it.
so that's the big vision. I really want to help people. That's the whole reason why I started this in the first place, is to give people a platform, something that they can feel better about, something that's going to support them through whatever they're going through or their dreams. So having some sort of facility like that, I think, would be so cool. I really love
just beyond activewear.
Yeah, it's beyond activewear. Obviously, activewear is amazing. I want that to go quite global. I want that to be online, like quite a good presence. Maybe have some like a warehouse over in the US, so distributing would be a lot cheaper, and things like that. But that's a massive vision. It's scary to think about, but I can't focus on that too much. I'm just going to work on one thing at a time and scaling so I can get closer to that. But that's the big vision. And that's why the online coaching's kind of started, because I want to build a bit more of a connection with people with the mental side of things and moving their body in the right way and learning about their body and how the human body works and food and all that fun stuff. And that all matters. That all goes into it. It all adds up.
I really see that.
Yeah.
I see that happening. And I think I told you when we had that car park shoot years ago, and you told me about the resort wear, and I was like, wow, this is, and the way you spoke with passion, I said, you're going places, that's for sure. And then fast forward 4 or 5 years on, whatever that may be. No, 4 years, 3 years, maybe 3 years.
No.
I'll come remember a little while. Fast forward, you're here having a chat with me, and honestly, I'll probably say it now. It's on tape. It's on record. I can see this flow shopping center type center vibe happening. Where and how, not sure when, but I can see it. I can see that's kind of like that vision, and it makes sense. So honestly, I wish you all the best of luck, because I think you got to aim high, aim beyond your dream of like, that's what you want it, and I do believe you're going to go and get it. Tiana, I just want to say lastly, thank you so much for coming on to the Brain Break, the podcast, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me. I'd love to do this again. I'm sure there's a lot of other things that we could have spoken about. I feel like there's endless things to talk about right now.
We can definitely have you back on, and I think this is definitely chapter 1.
Oh, chapter 1. We'll come back for part 2.
That's it. That's a perfect one. We'll come back for part 2 for sure. Thank you so much, Tiana.
No, thanks for having me. It was great chatting.